Hey, you know the phrase, don't hate me because I'm beautiful? Yeah, I wrote that. Okay, maybe not. Maybe it's preceded me in age, but I want to talk to you a little bit about beauty and good looks and bad looks, good looks versus bad looks, which can really wrap around in your whole identity. Let's talk about that for a minute. Now, I am a grown man who looks a lot younger than I am, 31. But, you know, I'm grown, I'm a husband, I have a wife, I have a daughter. But I still remember my life in high school like it was yesterday, and junior high school. In fact, junior high school I had a lot worse than I did in high school, but a lot of people seem to go through the hardest years in their lives in high school. And there's a reason for that. A lot of people deal with self-esteem issues because they're all trying to fit in, and high school is one of the most crucial times in a person's life because they are becoming teenagers, they're hitting adolescence, and therefore they are going through scenarios in their lives trying to find themselves. They're trying to figure out who they are. And you know, if you don't identify with a certain group, you will get classified in a group. You know, there's always got to be that popular group. There's always got to be the jocks. There's always got to be the pretty ones, the ugly ones, the nerds, the geeks, the dweebs, and all those in between. And so, who are you? How do you identify yourself? Well, let me just tell you a little bit about myself. For the sake of this video, I just want to put this out there that I am a Puerto Rican. I am not racist at all, so when I use certain words, don't box me into what you think of me, okay? Just fair warning. So I was born and raised in the Bronx in New York, and I was raised in a black neighborhood. And obviously, I don't really match. And you know, for anyone who thinks that racism only goes one way, it can go several different ways. It doesn't have to be black on white, white on black. It could be black on Hispanic, Hispanic on black, you know, and any other Indian on black, vice versa. It could be in any scenario. In my case, it was because I was the only one in the black neighborhood that was different. And as a matter of fact, a lot of people used to identify me as the white guy. Well, what's wrong with being the white guy? Absolutely nothing. But as a result of this, I just did not fit in. And as a result of that, I dealt with a lot of bullying, mostly in junior high. A little bit in high school, but not as much. And while in high school I didn't deal with a lot of bullying, the scars that were inflicted upon me in junior high stayed with me. I recall in high school, I used to go home, and high school was in Manhattan, and I was in the Bronx, so I would have to take the train about 45 minutes to get into Manhattan and go to school. So coming back from Manhattan, I'd take the train, and then from the train, I'd walk a few, maybe 4 or 5 blocks to get to my house. Well, walking to my house from the train station was the most horrible experience of my life for those 4 years. The reason for that is because as I was walking those blocks, I passed by cars, and you know, the cars have windows, and these windows had reflections, and in the reflection of myself, I would see a distorted image of who I thought I looked like. I would see, you know, I mean, I have, let's just be honest, I have a pretty long neck, and I am relatively skinny, but as I saw my reflection in the car windows, I would see a longer nose, a much longer neck, a much skinnier body, and I'd see a completely distorted, monstrous looking version of myself that really tore me down. It made me utterly depressed. And by the time I reached my house, almost every day from school, I would throw my bag on the floor, run into the bathroom, drop to my knees, and start crying right there, just crying. I used to hate the way that I looked. I hated all the hair that I had. Now I wish I had all the hair that I had. You know, you think that your problems are insurmountable as a kid. You know, you think that the troubles that you deal with are extreme and intense. And for the time, yeah, they are to you. But when you employ the hindsight 2020 law and you get to look back on those years, from my perspective, they seem so minute. See, part of the reason why I was so depressed about the way I looked was also a reflection of the fact that I did not have a girlfriend. I was very lonely, and a lot of my friends, especially friends that I looked up to, they were always had a pretty girl on their arms. They always, were fought over by other girls. Girls would say that they were cute, but girls would never say that I was cute. And it really affected me. I always wanted a girlfriend. Come to find out, years later, I discovered that a lot of girls actually liked me, but some of them never said anything. The funny thing was, and even more funnier, it's sad, but it's funny now that I'm looking back at it. A lot of girls did find me cute. Also, were very obvious with, trying to get me to notice them. They would flirt with me. They would dress up for me. They would call me and ask me if there was something I wanted to ask them. And I wind up asking them, yeah, you got the math homework? Doi! I was completely oblivious. There have been girls who came up to me and wrapped their arms and hugged me tight. And for no reason whatsoever. They just hug me and then they walk away. And then days later, one of their friends would ask, well, why didn't you ask her out? And I said, well, does she like me? Doi! I used to think that girls would do this to tease me and to mess with my emotions. You know how it is in elementary school when a girl would come up to you and say, my friend says she likes you. It was kind of like that. That's how I felt. Even though it wasn't true, that's how I felt. I felt that the only girls who would tell me that they liked me were messing with my feelings. They had ill intent. But it turned out that they didn't, that they actually did like me. They actually did find me cute and good looking. They actually wanted me to go out with them. But my self-esteem was so wrapped in the reflection that I saw in those car windows that I found it unbelievable that any girl would have any interest in me. It's a vicious cycle. And it's horrible that I had to go through that because, I was a very good looking kid and I'm a very good looking guy. Really, it's all about perception. It's all about how you see yourself. What do you see in yourself? If you see anything less than what your parents tell you, anything less than what, and when I say parents, I'm talking about supportive parents, not abusive ones. If you see anything less than what, the way that God has created you to be, and I'm talking about that you are great, you are awesome, you are wonderful, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. If you see anything less than awesomeness when you look at yourself, then you're not really looking correctly. If you find yourself to be unattractive, not good looking, if you find yourself to say that you have no skills, you're dead wrong. You shouldn't beat yourself up over it because you're not looking hard enough. The fact is, and the truth is that you are good looking, you are beautiful, you are wonderful, you are great. You just have to be able to see that for yourself. And people can tell you this all day long, but it doesn't mean anything until you take a look in that mirror and see something worth looking at. When I was a teenager, I did not see that. And there were many times where I struggled with if I wanted to live or not. But thankfully, I was willing to go through it, I was willing to push through it and hope that someday I'd be able to look back and see that everything turned out okay, even though I had no solid proof. Now, being 31, looking back at those years of my life where I dealt with, some of the worst criticisms about my appearance that I gave myself, I can see that I am now married. And not only to a girl with average looks, okay? I am married to a woman who is so beautiful, we go places and she gets hit on. I'm married to a woman who's so beautiful that she's had photo shoots and people just tell her how beautiful she is. I'm married to a woman that's so beautiful that our daughter is a spitting image of her with her beautiful blue eyes and just wonderful smile. I am blessed, and looking back at everything now, I guess I'm glad, because if I did have all that confidence as a teenager, I probably would have never met my wife. Even though I did go through a hard struggle, it all turned out well. But what I have to say about my appearance and what I went through my self-esteem, my reputation, and everything in high school, it was unfortunate because the reality, even though I saw a monster in the reflection of the cars, the reality is I was a very good looking guy. I still am. And so that's what I want you to see in yourself. I want you to see that you are good looking, that that you are attractive and that you have a lot to offer. So if you feel as though you are going through some hard times in your life, trying to believe that there's value in your life, push through. That's my advice. Push through and believe that you will one day open those eyes and be able to see that you're sleeping next to the person of your dreams, and that you're in a much better life than you ever thought you could be, because you duked it out, you kept your head in the game, and you did not give in to these horrible thoughts about yourself. You're worth it, guys. You are so worth it, and I want you to believe that. I want you to firmly believe that. And hindsight's 2020. So it's Jason, the blogger rapper. Much love. God bless. Peace.